Very good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Sanket Charka from Sinhagad Institute's Savitribai Phule, Pune University. We are starting with the subject of economics, in which economic analysis of business decision. We have started with the concept of consumption function and the investment function. In terms of consumption and investment function, we have seen what is the source of consumption function and how it has been dependent on the income level of generated of an individual and the amount of money that he is spending for day-to-day livelihood or day-to-day expenses. In terms of key concepts, we have seen what is meant by consumption, what is meant by investments. Now we are looking with this third perspective, that is savings, and the next perspective will be dealing with determinants of the three perspective, that is consumption, investment, and saving. Consumptions we have classified and divided or understood in two types, that is direct or final consumption and indirect or productive consumption. The basic circular model of consumption and investment function also we have seen. Now, why consumption is important? Because always we take different efforts, different practices or different plans have been undertaken in order to satisfy our want, desire or need which is generated, and how do we attain a level of satisfaction from a certain product or a certain commodity which has been consumed over a period of time. So this is the consumption function, the diagrammatic or expression wherein all the things needed that have been required, we have to set a certain priority, and accordingly we have to deal with whether it is a macroeconomic perspective or a microeconomic perspectives. Mathematical formula or calculation of consumption function with respect to C is equal to A plus B into Y, where A stands for subsistence or minimum level, B stands for marginal propensity to consume, that is MPC, and Y stands for the income, and C is the total consumption expenditure. So our total consumption expenditure is the function of A plus B, that is minimum level of consumption. So basic essential requirement, that is food, clothing and shelter, that has been essentially required, and the MPC, that is marginal propensity to consume, that is till what level the propensity to consume can increase, and your income level which has been multiplied about whether it is an increase in income or whether it is a decrease in income. In terms of MPC, we have seen two concepts with respect to the Keynesian theory, that is marginal propensity to consume and marginal propensity to save. So MPS is also known as marginal propensity to save, wherein you have to identify about 1 minus MPC is equal to MPS. So whatever amount that you are consuming or whatever amount that you are expending, the amount which has been left over from the expenditure pattern, it's called as a savings pattern. So the consumption function here in this diagram or the curve, it has been identified about. Now why this particular curve starts at this particular position, because it is the C plus equal to A plus B into Y. A plus B into Y, which means specifically understanding that A is the fixed level of income or fixed level of expenditure, wherein you have to define, wherein you have to identify about what is the basic essential requirement of an expenditure that you have to undertake over a period of time. Then next perspective is the consideration of understanding the graphical illustration, that is 3/4. So 1 minus MPS, which stands for MPC. Oh, sorry, 1 minus MPC, which stands for MPS, is the consideration of 3/4 percentage shift in the consumption curve, wherein it is also called as a positive shift or a negative shift, wherein either it can have an increase in demand or a decrease in demand, increase in supply or decrease in supply as and when the need arises. Next, you have now the consumption function C is equal to A plus B, wherein it is either in an increasing position, that is a positive shift or a negative shift. Based on the consideration, you can calculate the formula. So C is equal to A plus B into Y minus T. So here T represents the taxes that have been subtracted from the income level. So at certain stages, there are an amount of taxes which the government is trying to pay, and based on the need requirement of an individual, based on the changes in the taxation rate, changes in the taxation policy, the rate of taxation differs accordingly. Now the investment function. In my last lecture or previous examples, we have seen what is the investment function, how it has been calculated, or it can be evaluated. So investment is the expenditure of the capital goods made for the purpose of income regeneration. So here always we are doing a certain part of an investment in order to regenerate a certain income. So whatever we are investing, we are looking for a certain output, we are looking for a certain income which will try to generate, which will try to produce a certain output or a value addition for your product or your commodity that you have invested. Investment again divided into two categories, autonomous investment and induced investment. Autonomous, which is a mandate which is essentially required for the growth of the economy, and hence it is directly related with the economic growth. So increase in GDP, increase in GNP, increase in the facilities of the people, and so on. So here autonomous investment is of a certain nature which the government cannot avoid. So any organization, any activity, any persons or any individual who is conducting a certain investment which cannot be avoided, which is as a part of a mandate to be conducted, such type of investment is called as an autonomous investment. So here, depending on the now autonomous investment of a particular country or a particular nation, which has been identified in terms of billions of dollars. So here in this case, you can see that the investment is always stable. It is always stagnant. Accordingly, as and when the investment changes, your income level of an individual keeps on changing. It keeps on differing, but the investment amount will not change. That is, for example, if the investment that has been decided is $10 billion, then accordingly the $10 billion for every sector, for every product, or for every commodity, for every industry, it remains the same and is not changing over a period of time. Also, we have seen an example with respect to how the curve shifts from OY1 to OY2 and so on. So change in the income, change in the investment also brings to a certain perception about change in the investment level. Then second point we have with respect to the induced investment wherein change in the income level is called as an induced investment. So investment which changes the level of income. So accordingly, as and when our income level changes, our investment also changes. So it depends on the income of an entrepreneur. So if there is a lot increased income for an entrepreneur, then accordingly his income will keeps on increasing. And if there is a decreased income of an entrepreneur, then accordingly his income will keep on decreasing depending on the what consumption you are looking for. So here in this case, the graph or the curve looks in this particular fashion, wherein at a certain stage your income level will be fixed at this particular position, that is 0 to I. So 0 to I, your income level is same, but accordingly if your income level also starts increasing, accordingly your induced investment also starts increasing. So simultaneously in proportion to your income. So I to Y1, that is here in this portion. So from this particular case, you can see that if the income increases from I to Y1, your investment also increases from 0 to L1. Same case, if your income level increases from Y1 to Y2, in the same fashion, your investment level also increases from L1 to L2 or I1 to I2, whatever. So in this way, what we are seeing in case of an induced investment, depending on your investment, whether it is increasing, whether it is decreasing, how the changes in they have been identified in terms of an investment, your income level keeps on increasing or decreasing, and accordingly the changes in that particular curve can be identified. So here 0y1 to 0y2 and 011 to 012. Example we have seen of a pizza chain wherein how the investment level is also been increased. The investment function with respect to autonomous investment and induced investment, how it keeps on increasing or decreasing. So here in this case, at the level of 500, the blue color or the blue margin reflects the autonomous investment, and the red color represents or the maroon color represents the induced investment. That is, as your income level is increasing, so accordingly your investment is also increasing in the same fashion. Okay, now today we are moving towards the next point, that is savings. Savings are the amount that has been left over when the cost of a person's consumer expenditure is subtracted from the amount of disposable income that he or she earns in a given period of time. So here, now what we have seen, we have already covered the concept of MPS and MPC, which means marginal propensity to consume and marginal propensity to save. In simple terms, whenever we are dealing with the concept of MPS and MPC, what we have seen, MPC, that is marginal propensity to consume, is a particular consideration wherein what amount of consumption, what amount of expenditure that an individual requires as a mandate or as a part of an optional consideration. Now, whenever I say that I need daily 10 rupees or daily 50 rupees for my expenditure purpose, and if my daily income is 100 rupees, then out of this consideration, what is the consideration that now how to identify or how to define or how to calculate a certain consideration? Your income level is 100 per day, your expenditure or your consumption is rupees 50 per day, then what is the amount that is been remaining? The remaining amount is rupees 50. So here rupees 50 forms your part of savings. So savings are the amount that has been left over when the cost of a person's consumption expenditure is subtracted. So personal consumption expenditure is subtracted in the sense, now a particular individual, now take an individual whose monthly income salary is rupees 50,000, his monthly expenses are rupees 20,000, and what is the remaining amount? The remaining amount is rupees 30,000 for a particular individual. So here in this case, out of this particular 30,000, it is up to the consumer, it is up to the individual what amount he wants to save or whether he wants to expend. But this particular 20,000 is completely fixed. It is a part of an autonomous investment. Now here, all the three components have been combined together: consumption, investment, and savings. Now, in this particular example, your 50,000 is your part of an income, that is an investment that you have received. The 20,000 becomes your autonomous investment, which is a mandate which you cannot escape or which you cannot skip. And lastly, your 30,000 becomes your savings. So here in this case, what Can you see what I'm writing on the screen? Or do I need to switch on the camera? Hello?
Yes, sir.
What yes? Please tell fast.
Sir, we can't see the thing you're writing.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll switch on the camera. Just a minute. I'll need to start my mobile. Someone should let me know. आपको पता है जब इकोनॉमिक्स होता है, I keep writing on the board. I need to move this upwards so the blank column is available, blank space is available for you. Calendar, EABD, join. Is it?
Yes, sir.
Now the voice is not coming. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So moving with the current example, the income level, income level of an individual is rupees 50,000. The part of a consumption, that is expenditure pattern, is of a particular individual is rupees 20,000, and what amount that will be left, the amount that has been left with an individual is a part of rupees 30,000. Now what am I doing? I am combining all the three concepts. So let's just look at a certain consideration that how all the three concepts come together and how they are combined. So out of this rupees 50,000, your 50,000 becomes the part of an income or your part of an investment. This 20,000 will become your autonomous investment. Now, what is the meaning of autonomous investment? Autonomous investment is that particular type of investment which cannot be escaped, which is a part of an mandate, that is compulsory. A particular individual or a particular consumer or a particular economy, they have to mandatory consume this particular certain sum of money. So out of rupees 50,000, my 20,000 are the part of an expenses which my family is requiring for a daily need, a daily basis point of time for a particular month, and accordingly 20,000 will be part of our expenses. Again, now out of this particular 20,000, what happen when this 20,000 is been expended, the remaining amount that is available with the family is rupees 30,000. So here in this case, this particular 30,000 becomes the part of your savings. So here in this case, what happened? All the three concepts of consumption, investment and savings are part of an composition wherein it can be combined together, and then you can identify about how a particular valuation of a certain product, a certain commodity, or a particular family, that is an individual. Now whenever you're saying a household can be a perspective of an micro level in terms of national economic perspective, but it can be a part of an macro level in terms of an economic perspective. So here in this case, we have to define, we have to identify whether for what calculation you are doing for, whether it is for a macroeconomic perspective or whether it is for a microeconomic perspective. But as per the Keynesian theory, that the definition or the explanation that has been given, always the concept of consumption, investment and savings is related with the national income, and when national income comes into existence, we have to understand that always we are dealing with the concept of macroeconomic perspectives and not the microeconomic perspective. Why? Because all the people or the members or all the components of the economy are taken into consideration at this particular stage, and hence it can be considered that all the economic parameters are being taken for valuation. Now, what is savings? To economics, savings means not consuming from a fixed amount of resources to enable higher consumption in the future. So what we are looking for now, what is the perception of an economist in terms of savings, what they are looking for? Now, whenever I say that I am saving a certain sum of money, always what does the economic thinks? An economics person will always think from a certain perspective that whenever a particular amount of money that will be saved, it will be always occupied, it will be always consumed in at a certain future stage for a maximum amount of percentage. Now, for example, my income level is 50,000, my expenditure is rupees 20,000, and what is the remaining amount? Remaining amount is rupees 30,000. Identify this scenario. This is for the month of January. Now again, when I calculate in the month of February, the same formula applies, the same calculation applies. That is 50, 20, remaining amount is 30. In the month of March, again, the same formula applies, that is 50, 20, and 30. So what am I doing? Every month I am saving 30,000 rupees. So this is for the month of January, this is for the month of February, and this is for the month of March. Now accordingly, for example, whenever I need to calculate for the month of April, now when I'm coming in the month of April, there is a certain function, there is a certain emergency, or there is a certain medical requirement. Now at this stage, what happened? In all these three scenarios, 1 minute. So in all these three scenarios, in the month of January, I am saving 30,000. In the month of February, I am saving 30,000. In the month of March, I am saving 30,000. So in total, what amount am I saving? I am saving 90,000 rupees as a part of an whole. Now, when I am saying that I am saving 90,000 rupees, I am not spending also is another perspective or is another correlation associated with it. Had it been a certain situation that if I am spending 30,000, then here my savings would be 20,000. That is, it is started to reduce. So here in case one perception or one composition comes into existence, that if I am saving, the other correlation or other meaning to that particular consideration is I am not expending, that is I am not spending a certain sum of money. Now here in this case, what happened? Now again in the month of April, my calculation will be same. I will not change my consideration pattern. That is, it remains 50,000. The salary is 50,000. Expenditure becomes 20,000, and my savings are rupees 30,000. So here my total savings become 1,20,000. That is 120K. Now here in this case, what I was quoting for, that for example in the month of April, if there is a medical emergency, if there is a certain function at a particular home, or you want to go out for a tour or a certain picnic, or certain emergencies has been arise and a certain expenditure that you want to do. Now here in this case, what happened? The percentage of expenditure. Now percentage of expenditure in month of January is 40%. February is 40%, and March is also 40%. But here in case, for example, my expenditure was a fixed level of income, fixed level of expenditure was 20,000, and accordingly I have saved 30,000 rupees. But what happened? All of a sudden, my expenditure of rupees 20,000 on medical expenses keeps on increasing. Now, what is the consideration? Now, what is the situation? Out of these 20,000 for the month of April plus rupees 20,000 for the month of April have already been extra expended, which was not expected. So unforeseen circumstances, where any medical emergencies, any certain requirements which cannot be avoided. Now here what happened? My level of expenditure increases to 80%. So here, whenever we are saying that a particular person is not saving, we can say that a particular person is spending more, or spending less. Or if we are saying that if a person is spending more, then we can say that a particular person is saving less. Now here in this case, for now I have taken an example of rupees 20,000 as a part of an expenditure. Supposing my expenditure goes to rupees 80,000. Now what happened? The situation, earlier my savings was rupees 30,000. Now my savings has been reduced and my expenditure has increased to the level of 80,000. So if my expenditure goes to 80,000, what will the balance available with me? Ideally, the balance with an individual must be rupees 1,20,000, but now my balance remains only 40,000 rupees. So here in this case, what happened? If you are saving at a certain stage or a certain point of time, that is, if I am saving a certain sum of money in the month of January, February, and March, and if I am now, what is the correlation in respect of savings and expenditure? That a particular amount of money, if a particular sum of money which is being saved in a certain month, it can be expended in a next month at a greater level or at a greater height. That is the amount that was made available with me. What was the extra amount that was available with me? The extra amount was rupees 90,000. Out of this 90,000, I have already spent 80,000. Now remaining is rupees 10,000, and the current month of rupees 30,000. So 30 plus 10 becomes 40,000. So here in this case, a particular savings for a current period may be an additional expenditure for a future period point of time. So here in this case, we can see, or we can calculate about how a particular savings and investments or expenditure are correlated with each other. Clear with this example of savings, this last slide, or any difficulty would you like to ask quickly? You can please unmute yourself, ask me, otherwise we'll move ahead. You can note down this example just in a fast way: Jan, Feb, March, and April. So that for correlation between the investment, savings, and consumption, it will be easy for you to understand or remember. Hello?
Yes, sir.
हाँ ठीक है. Now, savings divided into three categories: purchase of securities, increase in bank deposits, and increase in cash holdings. So, three types of major savings you can do. Now, these are the just examples or the certain illustration that has been given for you. There are different n number of avenues in which you can save your certain sum of money, and there are various platforms in which the money or amount can be saved. So, first thing is the purchase of security. So if you are willing to purchase certain security, that is equity, preference, debenture, bonds, and so on, then accordingly you can go to the stock market, you can go to the equity, debenture, bond, commodity market, and accordingly you can purchase the securities. Another option that is available with you is you can either go to the bank, that is either a public sector bank or a private sector bank, which is authorized by the government, that is Reserve Bank of India, and based on this perception, based on their constitution, you can increase the bank deposits also. So either in terms of fixed deposit, current deposit, or savings account, you can deposit a certain sum of money and your deposits can be increased, which will provide you a rate of return at a certain fixed percentage. That is, for your savings account, it is provided at 3.54%. It depends on bank to bank. For in terms of your fixed deposit, it is provided at 6%, 7%, 8%, depending on which bank you are trying to invest in. And lastly, increased in the cash holdings. Now, what is the meaning of increase in the cash holdings? That is, in our earlier example, what we are looking for, that every month we are saving rupees 30,000. When I say that I am saving rupees 30,000, out of this rupees 30,000, this particular 30,000 can be either invested in any of these particular options. Either I can keep, or either I can hold this particular amount of money in cash, or I can go and deposit the amount in my bank, or I can go to the stock market and securities and invest in that particular market. The only three options as a part of an example I have taken. There are other avenues also in which you can invest. That is, you can invest in gold, you can invest in land, you can invest in real estate, you can invest in debentures, stocks, bonds, you can invest in mutual funds, you can invest in various types of mutual provident fund policies and so on. So here in this case, or you can invest in certain goods and services or articles also, wherein it can provide you or it can generate a certain rate of return after a certain point of time. So here in this case, we have to understand about which part of savings you're looking for, whether you want to invest in either a returnable investment or a non-returnable investment, or a long-term or a short-term investment, or just you want to increase your cash holding. So there are certain types of people who are willing to hold the cash also, and accordingly they do not want a certain rate of return on their particular investment. Now, for example, there is a particular person, that is Mr. Vivek, and Mr. Vivek feels that he don't want to invest in any part of revenue because it is a part of a risk, and he wants to the money that has been generated, the money that is he has received as a part of an income is a part of an illegal income. So any income which is received of an illegal nature, which is not of an direct source or authority, then accordingly you can hold that particular amount of money in cash also. So accordingly, as and when the need arises, you can hold that particular amount of money in cash also, and whenever the need arises, you can invest or you can consume that particular amount of money whenever or as and when the need arises. The extent to which consumers save is affected by their presence for their future or present exception. So depending on the rate of interest. So here this particular slide focuses on whatever you're looking for the savings, that is whatever your preferences are there, it completely depends on your rate of interest that is made applicable. So if the banks are providing you a different rate of interest, then accordingly your motivation to save a certain sum of money may increase or decrease as and when the need arises. So depending on the rate of interest that has been provided by a certain bank, you take a certain decision about what amount has to be saved and what amount has to be not saved. So as and when, if you feel that the rate of interest is not favorable, it is not good, then accordingly you cannot approach a particular bank and the amount cannot be saved there. If you feel that the rate of return in equity or stock or debenture or bond market is more, then accordingly you can save a certain sum of money at that particular place or location or origination. So here in this case, it depends on what rate of interest or what rate of return you are expecting from a certain avenue or for a certain investments. Now, why do people usually save? So people save in order to accumulate assets to finance their retirement, and they spend their assets during the retirement. So first reason for saving is, now whenever I say that I want to save a certain sum of money in order to make a future provision, that is whenever I retire from a particular job, I need a certain handsome amount of money available with me. That is whenever I say that I am retiring at the age of 60 or 65 or 70, then at that particular old age, I need a certain sum of money which will be available for future 20 years, wherever at which place my regular level of income will not be made applicable. So here in this case, people try to save in order to save their finances for retirement purpose. That is now, which is the major source of retirement for investment as a part of an investment, that is the insurance policy that you are taking for, that is specifically called as an LIC, life insurance policy, that you are taking for. So whenever I say that I want to get a certain huge money or a lump sum money at the age of my retirement, that is which is either 50 lakhs to 20 lakhs, 1 crore, and so on. So accordingly, what will I do? I will start investing, or I will start spending, or I will start saving a certain sum of money right from the beginning of my job. That is whenever you start your job, that is at the age of 22, 25, 30, whatever it may be. So till 20 years, you will be starting to save a certain sum of money at a certain fixed level of income. That is, if your income level is 50,000, out of 50,000, 10%, that is 5,000, you will be specifically saving on LIC. And at this age, at the age of 60 or at the age of 65, a lump sum amount will be gained for you. So here in this case, in order to make the plan for your retirement, people start to save their money. Second thing, the more young savers there are relative to old age savers, the greater will be a nation's saving rate. So here in this case, now here what we are looking for, always we are looking for a certain perspective wherein we want to make the provision for our old age people only. That is whenever we come to a retirement or whenever we are old. But understand a particular scenario wherein we have to also take a certain consideration wherein if a particular youth or a young saving people or a young population is coming towards the saving as a part of an investment or saving as a part of an revenue generation, then accordingly more amount of money available will be available in the economy, and accordingly there will be less amount of money into circulation. Why? Because the amount is available with the government, and accordingly government can provide you good facilities and the provisions for the betterment of the society can be undertaken. That is, for example, if I say that every month, now earlier in my example, I was saving only 5,000 rupees on my LIC. Now, if I increase my premium, that is I increase from 5,000 to rupees 10,000, accordingly, additional 5,000 money is available with the government, and accordingly, the government is available with 5,000, that is from one individual, 5,000 rupees are available in an additional perspectives. But if all the people in or a nation together, they start contributing to these particular perspectives, then accordingly, the income level of a particular country, that is national income, keeps on increasing, and accordingly, the nation's saving rate also increases. So accordingly, it creates the wealth of a nation. Accordingly, it creates the credibility of the people or the public at large. Precautionary motive, that is motive to save in order to be prepared for various future risks, which is one of the key reasons people to save. So any unforeseen circumstances which may arise, that is any medical emergency, health emergency, or life expectancy ratio, if it starts increasing or decreasing. So in order to save that particular amount of money, in order to save our expenditure at a certain future rate, the money or amount that should be made available for you. So for this particular consideration, the people tend to save a certain sum of money. So as a part of an precaution, as a part of an consideration or a need, the people can start savings their sum of money also. By saving, we can invest more money to produce fixed capital, which contributes to the economic growth. So according to the fixed capital can also be created. For example, if I purchase furniture, fixtures, land, building, machinery, and so on. So if certain type of fixed assets have been purchased by a certain individual or by certain people, then accordingly, always these particular type of assets are creating a value to the organization or creating a value to the individual. That is, for example, a land. If you invest in a particular amount of money, which is either in a land or a particular flat or a particular bungalow, it always creates an appreciation and the value always keeps on increasing. Whereas in case of a certain machinery, if you are purchasing furniture, fixtures, then accordingly it is providing you a certain consideration which is or part of a leisure, which increases your production, which increases your standard of living, which increases your productivity capacity, and so on. So accordingly, wherever you are investing, always the investment in fixed capital is contributing to the economic growth, and it is creating a benefit to the organization, which will be value added advantage to the economy also and to the individual also. However, savings do not always correspond to increased investment. If money is not deposited in a financial intermediary, it is not a recycled investment. So here, if the particular amount of money that you are looking for, so whenever we are looking for as part of an investment, always we have to, or a part of a saving, we always have to see that it is always invested with, or it is always saved with a government expenditure or a government source of authorities only. And if it is not been saved with the government authorities, if it is in a private circulation, then accordingly the flow or the circulation flow of the money is not been created, and accordingly it decreases the credibility of a particular economy. Now take a consideration or take a scenario wherein if the lockdown has been declared by the government today and people are staying indoors. Now, if the people are staying in indoors, what happens? The money that you are trying to expend, that is today, if you want to purchase 10 kg of rice, tomorrow if you want to purchase 5 kg of sugar, then accordingly what happens? Your decision gets postponed. Now the money that was available with you, that is 500 rupees that you are trying to spend today, it cannot be spent for next 5 days, next 10 days or next 1 month. So accordingly, the money gets blocked at a certain location. So this is the particular reason why the industry people are opposing the various people are opposing for the lockdown. Now why? Now in this case, understand or take a scenario. For example, if you are having a particular shop. Now, whenever you say that you have a certain shop, and when a particular customer comes to you, he is giving you a certain sum of money, and in return you are giving certain goods and services. So whenever the money comes to you, what happened with that particular money? Again, you purchase the material, and again that is being sold. So what happened? It is always a recycle. That is, it is completely cycle. That is, always we keep on exchanging. A customer comes to you, he gives you a certain sum of money, and you give him certain goods. Again, you go to a wholesaler, you give him the money, and you purchase the goods from him. The wholesaler goes to the manufacturer, and he purchases the goods from manufacturer, and in return the money is been given to him. So accordingly, it is cycle, it keeps on rotating, and in this way the economy keeps on going on. Now ultimately, if there is a lockdown situation in a particular economy, and if the customer is not reaching to a particular retail store, so how will the money get into circulation? How will the economic circular flow will be into existence? So here in this case, what happened? Your savings get blocked to a certain location. That is, either the money is lying idle in your home, or the money is lying idle into your bank account. That is, if you are using if you are doing online transactions. So here in this case, we have to see that there should be a proper financial intermediary into the source. That is, either a transaction can be conducted with a bank perspective, or the proper circular flow of money is needed to be into existence. Then only we can say that the investment is of a recycled nature, and accordingly the money is into circulation. This can cause a shortfall of demand and recession instead of economic growth. So here, this is the drawback, wherein if the money or the economy is not into circulation, if the people are not spending a certain sum of money, then accordingly a shortfall of demand. That is, if the people or if the customers are not going to shop, if they are not purchasing, then accordingly there cannot be a demand. So if there is no demand, what happens? The price starts increasing. So according to law of demand, if demand increases, the price decreases, and if the demand decreases, the price increases. So here in this case, if the demand for a certain commodity keeps on decreasing, and accordingly the value or the price of that particular commodity also starts increasing. Why? Because the quality of that particular product gets deteriorated, and if the product gets deteriorated, there is a shortage of demand that has been created, and if the demand is of a shortfall nature, then accordingly the price also starts increasing for a certain product or for a certain commodity. So here in this case, we have to identify, we have to see about there should be a proper flow of circulation, and accordingly that there should be no shortfall of the demand also. That is, a proper balance between the demand and supply has to be undertaken, and the recession is not to be brought into the economy. So case study 1, we said that savings affect the workings of an economy. The question is how? So Germany, in common with the rest of the continental Europe, has been suffering from a lack of demand caused in the part of Germans' high propensity to save. Other European members subject to similar macroeconomic constraints have done far better. This has been led to a lack of total of consumer confidence on the part of the government. So a case study for you for solving purpose. There is a certain case study which has been given for the in case of Germany, wherein there is a lack of demand. Now why there is a lack of demand? Because there is highest propensity to save. Now we have understood, we have studied both the concept, that is what is MPC, marginal propensity to consume, and marginal propensity to save. So in case of Germany, there is high MPCS, that is high propensity to save. So what impact it has been created on European members, that is other members of the European countries, and subject to these similar macroeconomic constraints have done far better. So case study for your homework. So you have to solve this particular case study with respect to MPS and MPC. Okay, any difficulty at this stage for anyone? Would you like to ask any questions quickly? Before we move towards the next chapter, you can please unmute yourself and ask me. Shilpa?
Yes, sir.
No questions?
Sir, I have doubt regarding VCL.
VCL?
Yes, sir.
We'll take in that subject. Regarding this particular topic, savings, consumption, investment, and savings.
No, sir.
Okay, we'll move ahead. So now moving ahead towards the next point. So we are moving towards the next point, that is theories. So So theories of consumption, investment, and savings. Moving towards the next part. So we have three consumption theory that has been applicable as per your syllabus: absolute theory of consumption, relative consumption theory, and life cycle theory. So now let's look three theories one by one. Absolute theory of consumption. So first theory, it is also known as absolute income hypothesis. So the absolute income hypothesis is a theory of consumption which is proposed by the English economist John Keynes. So again, Keynes comes into a picture, and accordingly, this particular theory has been given by Keynes. Hypothesis. Now, this particular terminology you have already studied in the terms of BRM, that is business research method. So, what is an hypothesis? Hypothesis is just a guess which you are trying to propose or which you are trying to identify whether the particular guess is correct or wrong. So, based on your certain research, based on your collection of primary data or secondary data, what we are looking for, we are trying to identify, we have come to a certain conclusion, we have prepared a certain statement, and that particular statement is always put to a test. Now, what that particular statement is put to a test, whether if the condition is true, then what is the result, and if the condition is false, what is the result. So always you have to put to a test a certain statement, certain parameters, certain factors based on which you have to identify whether the situation is acceptable, whether the situation is not acceptable, whether it is positive or negative. So this theory states that the real consumption is a function of real disposable income, total income net of taxes. As income rises, the theory asserts consumption will also rise, but necessarily at the same rate. So while this theory has success modeling consumption in the short term, attempt to appeal this model over a longer time frame has also been proven to be successful. Now, absolute theory of consumption. So I'll quickly, in part of a diagram or explanation, I'll give you. So what does the absolute theory of consumption gives you an understanding? So based on the consideration, based on the understanding of John Keynes, what he's saying now here, he have understood or he have taken into consideration income level and consumption. Oh, I need to switch on the camera. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh, so income and consumption. So as per the Keynesian theory, which has been given by which theory we are looking for? Absolute theory of consumption. So what he is saying, as per the income level increases. So if your income level increases, so accordingly your consumption increases. If your income level decreases, so accordingly your consumption decreases. And if your income level remains stable, so accordingly your consumption will also remain stable, other things remaining the constant. So what are the other things? That is, you're part of an investment, you're part of an savings, you're part of MPC, you're part of MPS. If all their factors are remaining stable, there is no change that is equal to 0 or equal to 1, then here in this case we can say that there is a proper correlation between your income level and between your investment. So whenever I say, now taking a graphical example of this particular consideration, for students who want to note, they can note down it fast, quickly. So bifurcation. So income level. Now, for example, if my income is rupees 50,000 and my consumption is rupees 20,000. So this is the standard norm, standard example that we have taken from the last example. So if my income level increases to rupees 60,000, then accordingly, what will be my consumption? My consumption will also increase to rupees 22,000 or 24,000 accordingly. If my income level goes to rupees 80,000, then accordingly my consumption will also go for rupees 40,000 or 35,000, whatever it may be. Reverse situation. So if my income level decreases to rupees 40,000, there is a lockdown situation, there is a certain recession in the economy, and accordingly my income level reduces to rupees 40,000, then accordingly my expenditure also goes to down to rupees 18,000. If my income level again goes down to rupees 15,000, that earlier it was 40, now it comes to rupees 15,000, then accordingly my expenditure pattern also goes to rupees 40%, that is 1.53 and 36. So it becomes 6,000 in the same proportion. Always there is a proper similarity, there is equal proportion between what you are looking for the income and what you are looking for an investment. So again, in the same case, now ideal situation, if my income level currently is 50,000, my expenditure is rupees 20,000, and for the next month also my income level is 50, and for the next month also my expenditure will be 20. So here consumption, there is a proper correlation with respect to the theory that has been given by the absolute theory of consumption, which specifically says that as per the income level, as per the consumption level, it is always in a balanced position, and as and when your income level increases, that is your real disposable income. Now what is the real disposable income? Real disposable income means the net amount that is available with you. So out of this rupees 50,000, there may be a certain chances that rupees 4,000 are going for TDS, 2,000 are going for certain taxes, and so on. So 6,000. So what is the net amount available with you? The net amount available with you is rupees 40,000. So out of this again 44,000, the amount get reduced to rupees 18,000 and or 70,500. So here in this case, according to the net disposable income in the sense which is what is the net amount available with a particular individual for a part of an savings or for a part of an expenditure. So a part of income which or a part of a money that is available with an individual for the net expenditure purpose is called as a net disposable income. So that was the concept of theory with respect to absolute consumption theory. Relative consumption theory, this theory was developed by James Dusanberry. It states that an individual's attitude to consumption and saving is not solely dependent on income. Hence, the percentage of income consumed by an individual depends on his position in income distribution demographics. Now, going back with the consideration or the example. So demographics. So how, as and when this particular income. Now, this is your income level. This is your consumption. This is your part of an expenditure. For the standard position, your income level is rupees 50,000 and your expenditure is rupees 20,000. So here for the first month, what happened? It remains same. That is your income level is 50 and your expenditure is rupees 20. But now there is no correlation between your income and expenditure or your income and consumption that you are looking for. Your income is rupees 50,000, but either what happens in the next month, your consumption starts increasing. It becomes either 22,000 or 24,000 or 25,000 and so on. Your income level increases to rupees 60,000. So here again, it is not into proportion. So what was your proportion? Your proportion was 40%, but now your proportion increases that you start spending 30,000 or 35,000 and so on. So, or there can be a reverse situation or there can be a downfall also. That is at the standard level, first month, your income level was rupees 50,000 and your expenditure was rupees 20,000. But here in case a reverse situation can also arise. In the second month, your income level was rupees 50,000, but your expenditure can reduce to rupees 18,000, rupees 15,000, rupees 14,000, and so on. So here in this case, what we are looking for, it is not in proportion. So relative income level. So relative consumption theory states about as and when the reality comes into existence, as and when the real factor changes. So whenever the real factor changes, whenever the need, want, desire of an individual changes, so accordingly his individual consumption pattern also keeps on changing. So relative consumption theory states about whatever your consumption is, it is not completely dependent on savings. So what was the part of your savings? If you are spending 50,000 and the amount of rupees 30,000, 20,000 available with you, you are having 30,000 as a part of an saving. So either you can spend the entire 30,000 or you can save a part of a certain sum of money. So here in this case, when your expenditure increases to rupees 22, 24 and 4,000, then here in case what happened, your expenditure goes down, your savings goes down for rupees 28,000, 26,000 and 25,000 accordingly. So here in this case, we have to see about what is the level of income that is been increasing, what is your spending or expenditure pattern that has been increasing or decreasing as per the change, need and want of an individual. And lastly, the life cycle theory. This hypothesis addresses individual consumption patterns. So now this particular earlier pattern, what we were looking for, the pattern that we were looking for absolute consumption theory and relative consumption theory, it was specifically applicable for the household, that is for the entire people or the public in general. But the life cycle theory specifically focuses on individual perspective, that is whenever as per the change, want, need, desire or the standard of living of a particular individual, the expenditure pattern, the savings pattern, the consumption pattern keeps on changing. The life cycle hypothesis implies that individuals both plan their consumption and savings behavior over the long term and intend to even out their consumption in the best possible manner to over their entire lifetime. So a proper planned expenditure that planned under investment and savings pattern has been undertaken. You go to a chartered accountant, you go to a company secretary, you go to an investor, and accordingly you plan your expenses, accordingly you plan your savings, and then a proper decision has been undertaken. So here in this case, if a proper decision has been identified, it has been taken, then we can say that a life cycle theory can be implied and a proper balance between savings, income and expenditure has been undertaken. The key assumption is that all the individuals choose to maintain stable lifestyle, and this implies that they usually don't save a lot of money from a one period point of time. So what happened? The individual is having his own sets, he's having his own priorities, and based on that particular priorities, he tried to define about what amount he has to spend, what amount he has to consume, and so on. So as per the need and when it has been arises, approximately in the same period, that is, the consumption may remain same for a specific period, or the consumption may change for a different period point of time. So these are the particular three theories that we have undertaken together, and this is the diagram. So A, B, and C. So accordingly, the consumption pattern of a particular person of a consumption level, relative level, and the so three theories: absolute theory, relative theory, and life cycle theory. Changing from age to age. So A is a part of an absolute theory, B is a part of relative theory, and C is a part of life cycle theory. So starting from age of 20 to the age of 70, individual preferences, priority, or pattern of savings, pattern of consumption keeps on changing. In my next lecture, we'll start with the liquidity preference theory of investment. So we have seen the theory of consumption. Now we'll move towards the theory of investment. Then we have initial investment, future cash flow, and rate of discount. Okay, any difficulty at this stage? Any questions you would like to ask? I have done with my lecture. Thank you so much everyone for joining. Good day.
Sir,
I will share that.
theory in
Sorry.
sir, there related to consumption theory in the people's income is increasing, so he is focus on their saving, and saving is sir.
Yes, they are focusing on their savings perspective. It completely
Yeah.
depends on what standard of living that you are living for. Relatively, it is depending on your situation. As and when the situation changes, your part of investment or consumption can save, increase, or decrease. It is not a standard scenario.
And sir, absolute consumption theory in the person's income is increasing, so that's he also increase his expenses. Suppose
Right.
yeah, and the life cycle theory, the person is getting advice from that some experts,
Expert. Right.
and then he choose their
Then he
what.
is taking a decision about where amount has to be invested, how much he has to invest.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Absolute theory is a standard theory. Relative theory is a individual approach theory, and life cycle theory is an suggestive theory, wherein you need to take a suggestion from the experts.